Wide Open, Chapter 5. A New Honesty. When Mark arrived home, Maia was still sitting at the kitchen table, holding the rumbling feelings of guilt in her stomach tightly in check with her hands. "Hey," he said, his voice warm with relief at being home. He came over and kissed her on the lips. "You okay? You're sitting in the dark." She chuckled at his comment, then caught his hand as he moved to turn on the light. "Wait, can we just talk for a minute?" Mark paused, sensing the gravity in her voice. He pulled out the chair opposite her, sat down, and his face became more guarded. "Of course. What's going on?" She took a trembling breath. The words she had practiced had disappeared. "I did something today with Layla and a man, a friend of hers." She hurried on before he could fully close his expression. "It wasn't a date, it was a hugging meditation. We held each other and just breathed through our hearts for a long time." Desperate for understanding, she searched his face, but saw only confusion and the first flicker of hurt. "It was beautiful," she continued. "It lit something up inside me, a warm, golden light vibrating through every cell of my body. But when I came home, I felt so guilty. I knew you wouldn't have wanted me to do it. I knew it could be seen as cheating." Tears welled in her eyes. "I'm so sorry, but I'm telling you now because I can't keep it from you, and because what I felt, it felt like coming home to myself, and I want to bring that home to you." She watched, frightened, as tears filled Mark's eyes. One of them slipped down his cheek. "Mark, please," she whispered, reaching across the table. "I love you. I don't want to be without you." He shook his head, and a rough sob burst from his chest. He stood up, pushing his chair back, and came around to her. He knelt on the floor beside her chair, wrapped his arms around her waist, and buried his face in her lap. His shoulders shook. "I'm crying because," he said, his voice muffled and thick. She ran her hands through his hair, her own tears falling freely now. "I know you love me. You show me every single day. I'm crying because," he took a ragged breath, "because you thought a long hug could be cheating, and you're so honest about it. It made me realize I've been holding on to something so much worse." A wave of cold worry washed over Maia. Her hands froze. "What?" He looked up at her, his face torn by shame. "Last year, when you went to your sister's for that long weekend, I cheated on you." The words hung in the dark kitchen, heavy and unmistakable. Maia felt the world tilt. "It was just sex," he rushed on, the confession tumbling out in a torrent of grief. "We didn't even kiss. I was just so horny. I couldn't handle it." And she was there, in a bar, and she wanted it too. It meant nothing. It was over in 20 minutes, and I've hated myself every day since then. I wanted to tell you, but I was so scared of losing you. And now you're telling me about a hug." He broke down again, his body racked with sobs. For a moment, Maia felt nothing but a heavy silence. Then, in the place where the glow had been, a deep, aching sadness spread. It was not only because of her own pain, but at the same time because of the burden he had carried. Without saying a word, she slid off her chair onto the floor beside him and pulled him into her arms. On the cold tiles, they clung to each other, two shipwrecked humans tossed by the same stormy sea. "See?" she finally whispered into his hair, her voice choked with tears. "See? Being together in a tight little flower pot. Perhaps it works well for some, but not for everyone. Not for two beautiful flowers like us, who want to feel more connected to the people around us. Even when we promise, even with all our willpower, this drives us to despair." He held her tighter, his tears soaking her dress. In that moment, there were no answers, only the raw truth of their shared brokenness and how desperately they clung to each other as they tried to pick up the pieces. In the silence that followed, he whispered, "Do you want to break up with me?" Maia pulled him tightly against her, her arms wrapping around him so strongly that there was no room for doubt. "No," she whispered into his ear. "I'm not going anywhere, but I've just made up my mind about something." She leaned back again, holding his gaze. Her voice was quiet, but it had a newfound strength, birthed in the heat of the last minutes. "I don't want us to lock each other up. I don't want to dictate what you can or can't do, and I can't live with you doing the same to me. I love you, and that love doesn't come with a long list of conditions." He stared at her, hopefully and confused at the same time. What does that mean exactly? It means I love you no matter what. But it also means that no one can dictate what I am allowed to do with someone. No more suspicion if I want to message a friend or go for a walk holding hands with someone, even if they're a man and I happen to like them. Just radical honesty and radical trust. She took a deep breath. "I'm not looking for sex with anyone else right now. That's not what this is about for me. I'm delighted about this heartfelt connection and that warm, close feeling. However, when it comes to the most intimate union, that's our space. Still, I would like to see Dorian again. I want to hug him long and lovingly and enjoy those good, pure, balancing energies without feeling like a criminal. You could be there too, if you want. You could see it for yourself. You would understand that it's just shared love and light. It does not threaten you." At first, Mark felt an instinctive resistance flare up inside him, caused by his lifelong programming of how things should be. Perhaps it was also jealousy. But beneath that, he also felt the exhaustion of having kept his secret for so long, as well as a painful realization that was slowly dawning on him. "We have to learn a new kind of trust," Maia said softly. "I have to learn to trust you again after what you told me. And you have to learn to trust me. Not to control me, but to believe in my love for you and in my integrity. This is how we start." Mark listened, his head still resting against her. The storm of their confessions had left him feeling hollow, but her words and her fierce, steady will were filling the void with something new. Not yet certainty, but a fragile new possibility to build on. "You could be there," she had said. The idea was terrifying. To watch his girlfriend share that kind of intimacy with another man made his stomach clench. But another part of him whispered, "What if there's nothing to lose? What if it's just beautiful?" Mark pulled back slowly and wiped his face with the back of his hand. He took a deep, shuddering breath. His voice was hoarse but clearer. "It sounds really hard." "It could be," she agreed, with no sugar coating. "For both of us, We'll have to learn how to talk about difficult things like jealousy and fear and the hidden shadows and desires that may come up. We'll have to check in a lot. It won't be a free-for-all. It's more like learning a new language. A strange sensation bloomed in Mark's chest, pushing some of the numbness aside. It wasn't confidence, but rather a spark of interest, a challenge. For a year, he had seen himself as a weak man who couldn't keep a simple promise. Now, she was offering him a different path with deeper honesty, a path where his failure could be acknowledged and integrated. A thought surfaced, surprising him with its clarity. It's always been a little strange, hasn't it? The way we police each other's closeness. He thought of how, in some countries, people shook hands to greet each other while keeping their bodies distant. In others, you hugged a stranger to say hello. In some places, friends could hold hands, but no further than that. Every culture had its own strict, invisible line about what was too much. Wasn't it all rather sad? Humans, who are so dependent on connection and closeness, waste so much energy regulating it for each other. It was certainly the opposite of living in an abundance of love. "A new phase in our relationship," he said, testing the words out. It felt meaningful. Suddenly, their old way of being together seemed like something from their youth, a set of strict rules they had followed without questioning because everyone else did. This new direction felt like a step towards adulthood. "I don't want us to lock each other up," Maia had said earlier. "Women like men who can take care of them so they feel safe. So, they agree to shackles because they can feel like jewelry." Promising monogamy is, in reality, a contract to enslave each other willingly. At that moment, Mark made a clear decision. He wanted to give his girlfriend full freedom, with honesty, empathy, and trust being his only conditions. If she truly loved him, she would stay with him and perhaps love him even more for setting her free. He looked at Maia and saw the tear trails on her face, as well as the new-found steadiness in her eyes. She wasn't running away from the mess. In fact, she was suggesting that they build something new in the middle of it. And indeed, there was a new glow about her that he had only vaguely noticed before. "Okay," Mark nodded and took her hands in his. "I don't know how to do any of this. I'm scared. But I want to learn. I want to learn how to trust you like that. And I want to be someone you can trust again," he swallowed. "And I want to see more of this glow in you. I like it. That is why I want to love you as a free woman. Do you know how beautiful you are?" He took a deep breath as the weight of his own growth settled on him. "I know this means I have to confront all my issues, the jealousy, the insecurity. I want to do that work. I want to be the man who stands beside you in this, not the one who holds you back." Maia let out a sob of relief and pulled him into another embrace. This time it felt different. Not the desperate clutch of two drowning people, but the deliberate hold of two partners who had just chosen to cross a vast, uncharted landscape together. "We'll learn," she whispered. "We will," he murmured into her shoulder. This honest promise felt like a solid ground beneath them. As they were holding each other, Maia felt the warm, golden glow in her heart again.